This is Jay Bradley with Creepy Encounters. It is October the 26th, 2018. I am on Medino Road and approximately 10 miles west of the Great Sand Dunes. The town of Hooper, Colorado is several miles to my west. This is my fourth night in a row of investigating the mysterious lights I have been observing in this area of the San Luis Valley. I am looking south of my current location across the valley floor. Over the past 3 nights, I have seen a dozen or so anomalous lights in this area, but tonight the number of lights has increased dramatically. I would estimate that there are well over 100 lights in a variety of colors that include green, red, orange, and white. Also, there is quite a bit of movement with some of these odd lights, with some changing colors and others completely disappearing from view in the blink of an eye. Being open-minded and yet skeptical about what I am looking at, I am trying to figure out if there are rational explanations for their presence, or is there something more mysterious and difficult to explain about their existence. Let's take a look at this first set of lights. I'm readjusting the camera there on the tripod. You'll see those three lights on the right. One in the middle appears to be pulsing to some degree. Then you see a white light appear to the left. It goes in front of the orange light, in front of the green, and then it looks like it goes behind this green light here, reappears, and then completely disappears, winks out, and is gone, never to be seen again. Now I continue to move to the right or to the west down this line of lights. You'll see a line of green lights, white light to the left, and a red light appears very briefly, hard to see, just to the left of that white light. And then left frame, here comes another white light, moving very quickly, heading westbound, passing in front of and behind that series of green lights. It will quickly pass out of frame on the right, and then next several curious things occur. You'll see this white light get extremely bright for some reason. Right there. And then on the right, a red light will appear. Did it respond to the presence of this red light moving the frame? I don't know. It passes in front of and behind the green lights. And then, after it disappears on the left, you will see two more lights appear. Right here, I believe. There's a red light on the right, kind of an amber colored light. I'll call them orange. On the left, they pass by each other and both out of frame at that point. Very interesting. There is a highway several miles south of me called Lane 6. It is possible that these are cars on that highway. I just offer that. I'm a skeptic about a lot of this, but I don't know that that's exactly what I'm looking at. Just throwing that out there as far as an explanation is concerned as to what I'm seeing. There I am readjusting the camera. There was a green light there, and as you can see, that green light just all of a sudden disappeared. We saw that earlier in the first part of this clip. Next you will see a red light passing from right to left, heading eastbound, I believe. A couple other light-colored red lights in front of this blinking red light. It might be a lens flare, I don't know. I'm not an optics expert. There we go, passing out of frame on the left. I have again moved the camera to the right or westbound, just to give you a sense of how many lights are actually out there south of me. I guess I don't have a life, but I did take the time later on and looked through the entire 27 minutes of this video, and I counted about 155 different lights to give you a sense of how many are out there. And like I said before, there just were not that many the 3 nights prior to this, a dozen or so. And then all of a sudden on this night, the numbers increased dramatically. Why, I don't know. That's why I don't believe that we're dealing with the lights of Hooper or Alamosa or the ranches that are south of me across the valley floor. I think there is something else going on here. Now I'm going to zoom back out again and then continue to pan to the right to get a sense of how many more lights there are directly west of my location. And you also note that some red lights will appear on the right hand side, moving right to left in frame. Again, are those tail lights of vehicles in the distance? I don't know. But there are several of those, as you can see, passing through the frame and there amongst the other lights. How far away are these lights? I don't have any idea. I can guess maybe several miles off in the distance. And all of a sudden you can see, with that camera shake unfortunately in the middle of the frame, a red light appears from behind those two orange lights, and it's easing its way off to the right. It continues to move off to the right, blinking, and then it just fades away, never to be seen again. I have now moved again towards the right, and you will see in frame a red light that's flashing. And also note that there are three white lights. The one that is the second from the left is slowly moving from right to left, past that first white light on the left, and easing its way to the left or probably eastbound. As I zoom in, I'm going to look very closely at this red light. That is a red stoplight, one of those that flashes vertically, obviously, in or near the town of Hooper. That would be my guess. I could see that red light through my binoculars. Also these other lights, but they were acting much differently than I would think a light or lights should act in a city or a town. But I can confirm that that red light is a traffic light. In this next shot, I've moved the camera to the right. I'm focusing on these 5 white lights. And then a 6th white light appears on the right-hand side. It appears to bud, if you will, from that group. And if you speed up the video, you will see that it appears to be moving behind these 5 white lights from the right side of frame to the left. And then it will emerge on the left, that you will see here shortly, emerging probably about right now. Yes, there it is. And then it continues to move off to the left and then out of frame. I continue to pan to the right. You're going to see a red light appear far to the left side of frame, right there, flashing. A red light on the right passing very quickly, now out of frame. And then shortly you're going to see another orange light on the right pass across those green lights and then out of frame again on the left. Panning more to the right and looking at more lights off in the distance, I place a red arrow at the peak of a mountain range. That may be the Sangre de Cristos, which is to the east of me, in southeast. I may be directionally challenged that night, and I kept mentioning that I was looking south. I may have been looking more south and east. Or I could be completely confused and I'm looking more west of the San Juans. I'm not sure. That light down there, moving from left to right, it's got white in the front, red in the back. What's that mean? Is that a car? That's very possible, but then on the right side of the frame here shortly, you're going to see a white light moving from right to left. And, well, maybe I do see red on the right hand side of that. That's very possible. Same thing here. White out in front on the left, red in the back. Maybe that is a car. I'm keeping an open mind when I look at these things. Panning more to the right, I notice a couple flashing white lights. I try to stabilize the camera and get them in frame so we can get a better look at these. And they are flashing with different frequencies. Very interesting. Are they traffic lights? I'm trying to think of any kind of lights in a town or a city that would flash like this. Again, I don't know the distance from where I am that these things are located, but I find these two flashing lights somewhat fascinating. Panning more to the right, trying to get more of these lights in frame. And as I back out, you can get a sense of how many more that are still out there. What is interesting is I'm seeing a couple bright red lights that eventually we're going to go ahead and zoom in on. In fact, I told you I didn't have a life, but when I counted all those lights out there and then I separated them out into four categories: green, orange, white, and red, only about 7% of the lights that I saw that night were this red color. With these two red lights still in frame, you're going to see another white red light combination speed by and exit on the left of frame. And then take a look at that red light on the right. You're going to see another white light suddenly appear and flare up, if you will, and then it will disappear. Now I'm going to zoom out again to give you an idea of how many lights are still there. I'm panning to the right, obviously. You can see some lights moving as I pan to the right. And then I make the decision to go back to the left to give you an idea of how many are out there. There's those two red lights we saw earlier. Moving along here back to the left. And then all of a sudden you'll see a red arrow I'm going to put in place. I noticed this red light moving very quickly, obviously from right to left. And as I looked through my monocular, this thing looked like it had a tail on it, almost like it was a vortex. When I view the video, I don't see that. But looking through the device itself, it looked like a mini funnel. And it continues to move off to the left, or I would say east or southeast, at a great rate of speed. I don't have any idea how fast it was traveling. And then we're just going to watch it here as it continues to move through these lights. I lose it for just a second as I'm trying to catch up with it and get this back in frame. And there it is again. And we'll just stay with it here and watch it as it passes in front of some of these lights. You'll see it disappear occasionally, so I assume that it's passed behind something at that point. There, it's disappeared. It will reemerge here in just a second, as I recall, right there. So I'm trying to stay with it as long as I can. And then it's going to approach those two vertical flashing lights, which I believed to be that stoplight that is out there in the distance. I think it's associated with Hooper. Continue to follow it. It's the only one I saw that acted like this the entire time. Am I looking at the tail lights of a car? Possibly. I don't see any bright light ahead of it from headlights, for example. And at some point here, I'm just going to lose it. I'm going to try to find it again and put it back in frame. But I never do after that. So I think it's at this point, yes. I cannot find it any longer. But it was very interesting. That's not the light. That one that we see there that's red is moving off to the right. At least I don't believe that is that light. So anyway, that was one of the most interesting things I saw that entire night. Continue to pan to the left. And then you're going to see a feature right there that we saw at the beginning of this clip. These three white lights with that light in the middle that is pulsing. Take a look at this red arrow. You're going to see two lights flash very quickly. Then one light flash just to the left of those three orbs, if you will. I put it in freeze frame. That is where those two flashed. Right after that, another flash from the second one on the right. Fascinating. Now I'm zoomed into those three white lights. That white light to the left of that main group, I believe, is that white light that we saw flash that was next to the other white light that flashed. Don't want to confuse you there, but what you're going to see happen here in just a moment is that white light to the left will flash again. It kind of powers up, if you will, right there and flashes. Right after it flashes, you'll see another one join it to the left and then disappear. Well, there's a lot going on in this 15-minute clip, but I want to talk a little bit more about those white lights that we saw a little bit earlier that flashed on and off. It reminded me so much of what we experienced back in the end of June. I was on Medno Road, County Road 112. County Line Road 8 has 3 different names. It changes as you go down the road. My brother and niece and I were parked on the right-hand side of the road. I think it was about 10 o'clock at night. It was dark at that point. We were outside the vehicle doing some investigations. We get back into the car. I'm just getting ready to start the car up, and we see 2 lights flash at us down the road. It reminded me of those lights that I saw to the left of this cluster that we're looking at right now. They flashed on and off at that same frequency. They weren't bright like a car light, somewhat dimmed down, if you will. I'd say they were probably 10 feet apart, and I thought they were probably 100 yards down the road. And we discussed it, and we said, well, maybe somebody's parked down the road like we are doing some investigations, and we'll certainly see them when we drive by. So I fire the car up, we drive down the road, and we never saw another vehicle for the next several miles until this road dead ends at a gate. But it reminds me exactly of what I've seen in this clip to the left, again, of this cluster of lights. It was almost like something was watching us, monitoring us to some degree, and maybe taking a picture of us, if you will. Well, this certainly gives us a lot to chew on from what we've seen in this clip, but I would certainly appreciate you sharing your ideas, your suggestions, your impressions on what's included in this video, and you can feel free to do that at my website, and that is at creepyencounters.com. Thanks.